So slide. Just if you want to know, this is me. Just introduce myself. I'm sure I've seen some of you before, but it's always nice just to give a little bit of background. I taught a little bit at the high school level, and then I taught at the college level for many years. I still teach at the college level. I joined MRU in March as the curriculum designer, and I have the cool title of economics evangelist. This is a picture of me from the pandemic, you know, when you couldn't get haircuts. So that's what it looks like. Yeah, I'll show you the link. I'll show you the link in a second. There's this in the chat asking for the link to the games. And if we're talking about games, you know, games can get heated at my house. Just to give you a fun fact. All right, so here are the different links. I'll put these in the chat for you. So this one right here, I'll take you to this one first. This is the write-up for today's webinar. So this is basically has all the information that I'm going to cover today. So it has the 5 games, and then it has each game has a little write-up. Some of these write-ups I did, and then some of these there was already a good write-up. So for instance, this market structure game is from the Fed. And so if that loads, it should be from the Fed. And these are not like games that you know, we made up out of nowhere. Like I said, talking to teachers, we play this game, we play that game. These are all pretty common games. You probably have heard of them before. You may have played them before. That is the location of those. And you know, when the webinar is over in the next couple days, I will send you the slides. You know, you'll get the links in addition to the certificate of completion.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you. So we're going to be focusing on the games today. So we're going to be focusing primarily just on these games and kind of going through them and just kind of walking through these games. But if you're interested in interactives, so at MRU, I don't know if you're familiar with MRU, but MRU, we're a nonprofit and we build free economic resources for teaching both high school and college. And one of our focuses, you know, this year and going into next year is really building out these interactive practices. So today we'll be doing like in-person games where, you know, your students get up, they walk around, they talk to each other, you know, they play the game. But if you're looking for interactives, this site right here, practice.mru.org, I'll drop that in the chat as well. Oops, sorry, it should be everybody. There you go. So if you're looking for, you know, just interactives to play on a variety of topics, you know, we have these, you know, for you. So we have like this simple, we have a bunch of supply and demand ones. And so, you know, you can move the curve, you can have the students move the curve. You can do this as a class, or you can have them do it individually. And let me just play through till the end to show you what the end looks like. And so at the end, you know, if you have your students do this, they can download a JPEG and submit this as well. So you can use this as homework. You can use this to play in the classroom, or like I said, you can play as a group. Okay. All right. So those are the interactives, but today we're going to be talking about just these sort of fun games that we can play, these in-person games. All right. Any questions before we get to the game part? You can either unmute yourself or just put it in the chat. Okay. All right, let's go to the first game. Okay, or sorry, why should we use games? Relevance. So to make econ come alive, you can use these games. They're all pretty fun, and they should aid in the understanding all of the various concepts each one teaches as well. And then they also prompt discussion. So anytime you're sort of using either a real world example or a game, this is how I always think about it. Like, okay, should be relevant to the topic, should increase understanding, spark discussion. Okay, so hopefully all these games do that. All right, so this is the one that I always do on the first day. You may have seen it before. It is a dollar bill auction. Okay, so I have a dollar bill right here. I have the dollar bill. Oops, upside down. There we go. There's a dollar bill. All right. So I always do this on the first day, or like, second day. Right at the beginning of the semester. Okay, and so the way it works is you auction the dollar bill off. So you say, okay, I am going to auction this dollar bill off, and the auction is just a little different than a normal auction. So, a normal auction, the way a normal auction works is whatever highest price takes it. Tell your students, in this auction, the highest price gets the dollar bill, pays me the money, but the second highest bidder also has to pay me. Okay. So let's try it. Okay. So those are the rules. Highest price pays me. Second highest price also pays me. All right. So do we have any bids for this dollar bill? I will send it to you. I'll send it to you via Venmo. I can afford it. We got the budget for it. So just go ahead and drop in the chat if you'd like to bid on this dollar bill. You will have to send me money. Here's my Venmo right here. Any takers? 1 cent. Callan. Okay, we got 5 cents. Wait, hold on. Ivan, is that are you bidding all the way $1? And Ivan, are you bidding $1.01? Yes. Okay, so Ivan's gone all the way above $1, all the way up to $1.01. Okay, never seen that happen before. Incredible. So the second highest bid. So the second highest bid. Christine. So you're at 49 cents. So that it would be the second highest bid. So you would lose 49 cents if you don't go above $1.01. So would you like to go to $1.02, Christine? So you're about to lose 49 cents. If you go to $1.02, you'll get $1. You'll have to pay me $1.02. So you'll only lose 2 cents. So you're sitting there at 49 cents. I don't know if you want to go to $1.02 or not. Give you a second to put it in the chat before I sell this dollar bill to Ivan for $1.01. Christine, last chance. You're about to lose 49 cents. She's just helping out, making it clear. Okay, so going once, going twice. And Diane's out as well. Dan, where were you? You were at 5 cents. You were at 5 cents. Okay. So, all right. So I sell the dollar, right? We sell the dollar to Ivan for $1.01. Christine has to pay me 49 cents. Okay. So I have just made $1. I've just made 50 cents. I've sold a dollar bill and I've collected $1.01 and 49 cents. I'm not actually going to make you pay me. But I like to put my Venmo up there so students and you think it's real. But I will send you this dollar, Ivan. But I like to put the Venmo up there just so they do think it's a credible threat. Okay, so first thing, what usually happens, so I've been jumped to $1.01, which I've never seen happens. Usually you get two students bidding up, 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 and then you do that explanation that I did. Okay, for the second highest bidder, you're about to lose this if you don't jump up. And what usually happens is you do get to $1 and then above $1. And even in one class, I've actually gotten it up to $10. So I've never sold $1 for less than $1. Every time I've done this, the dollar has sold for more than $1. And what I take in, theoretically, what I would take in is more than $1. So the first thing you've done on the first day is you've sold $1, a literal dollar bill, for more than $1. So you can be like, look, see, study economics, and you too can learn how to, sell dollar bills for more than $1. So the first thing it does is it makes you look good to your students. Because like I said, maybe it could happen, but I've never not sold it for more than $1, even though I never collect the money. But the second thing it nicely illustrates is some of the key ways of economic thinking. So I never collect. Sorry, this is just up there. This is from earlier this semester. So I never actually collect the money. But this is someone who didn't even win the dollar. But since I had my Venmo up there, he just thought it'd be funny just to Venmo me some money after the class. So, this added advantage is you just may actually, make some money on the side. So Henry sent me $2 for a fire class, as he put it. But on the first day, I don't know what you all do, but I usually talk about sort of the big economic concepts, the big ways about thinking of the world, the economic approach to thinking about the world. And so what this game illustrates is incentives, the importance of understanding incentives and designing incentives properly. The way I set up this auction, or I didn't come up with this auction, but the way this auction is set up is that, it's almost always guaranteed because of the incentives, because of that second bidder having to pay to go above $1. So it's the importance of, from designing something, it's understanding incentives, but also from the participants understanding the incentives. And then from the bidder's perspective, it's the sunk cost fallacy. Once you start bidding, it's essentially a sunk cost. Like you're trapped in a death spiral. Like you'll always need to be going up, otherwise you're going to lose more. And so essentially once you start bidding, it's a sunk cost and you should walk away. All right. And so it's just a nice way. I always end the first class with it, sell $1 for more than $1, say, look at what econ can teach you. Okay, questions? Okay, so that's game one. That's our first game. So these are not ranked, by the way, in terms of like best to worst. They're more ranked in terms of like order of when you might encounter them in a semester. All right. So our next game is the trading game. And this game, you may see it a lot. You may have heard about it as the brown bag game. And there's a couple different versions of it. But essentially, what ends up happening is your students should all have items. And then they trade with each other. They enter into trades with each other. So sort of the variations of the game is, how do you want to have each student get an item? So the way I like to do it is I give them a paperclip the day before or the class before. So I give each student a paperclip and I say, go home and trade this paperclip with your family or your roommate for an item and then bring the item back. So if you don't trust that your students are going to be able to trade the paperclip, what you can do is you can provide the items to students. So some teachers do candy bars. So they basically give each student a different candy bar, or like they give each student, they maybe have like 5 different candy bars and they pass out a candy bar to each student. Or I know some teachers will sort of collect random items throughout the year and then hand the students the random items, reach into this brown bag and grab one. You can also ask the students to bring items. You can say, hey, just bring something you don't want, something that, you were going to throw out anyways, bring it to class tomorrow. So basically you just got to have to gauge like whatever is going to work best for your class. If you don't think your students are going to bring something in, or you don't think they're going to trade, you have to provide it for them. The cheapest probably version of that is just candy bars. If you think your students, if you think it's fun to have them trade a paperclip, you can do that. Or if you think they're going to bring in a fun item, like I heard of one student bringing in like golf clubs that they were going to throw out. It's whatever, think, your students, whatever you think is going to work best. Okay. I like the paperclip because the students will often trade it for like very weird things. And, it's that it gets them talking. Like you can sort of start the class by saying, okay, what did everyone trade for? And, they can tell funny stories about what they traded for. I had one student who, walked around his apartment complex. Like he went door to door and like met all his neighbors. It was the beginning of the semester. So he used it to meet all his neighbors, and he kept trading. He traded the paperclip for something, and then he traded the next thing he got with the next neighbor. And he actually came to class with like this, very elaborate like goblet. And so it's just, it can be fun if you do it that way. All right. And so the goal of the game is, so once your students have the items. Oh, Jeff is asking me to teach online, or Jeffrey's asking me to teach online. I think all these games are designed to be in person. So I think there's like an emoji version of this game where you trade emojis. I'll have to look it up. That first one you could play online. And then the last one that we're going to play, you can play online. So some of these you can play online, but I'd have to think about how you do this online. Okay, so the idea is each student has an item, and now you say, all right, trade with each other. See if you can find trades. And inevitably there will be trades. So for instance, like let's look at these candy bars. So I have 5 candy bars here. And what I'd like everyone to do is to look at the candy bars and come up with their ranking of these candy bars, their own personal ranking. So we have Snickers, Twix, Payday, Reese's, and Mounds. So just come up with your own personal ranking, 1, 2, 5, and then drop it in the chat. So I'm typing out mine right now. Oh my gosh, look at Zachary. Zachary Robbins with Mounds #1. What a monster. What's going on over there, Zachary? Okay, we got Twix. We got a couple different Twix. We got some Snickers #1. Oh, another Mounds #1. People are wild. Twix. We got Reese's. What else do we got? We got Reese's. Jennifer has Twix, Reese's, Snickers, Payday, Mounds, 4, Reese's, Twix. Okay. All right. And so what we can see here is people have different preferences. We have some people, we have Twix at 1 for some people, Reese's at 1, Mounds at 1. Do we have, I think we have hit them all. Except nobody has Payday. Nobody has Payday at 1. Okay, I have Snickers at 1. Actually, Snickers and Twix are close for me. But yeah, that's ironic with the Payday. Nobody likes the Payday. All right. The idea here is obviously if somebody has Mounds, this is the most Mounds I've ever seen. So if somebody has Mounds as #1, and I have a Mounds and they have a Snickers, we can come to a mutually beneficial trade. So when the students are in the class, some students may not be able to find a trade, but some students will find a trade. And it's important to emphasize this is voluntary exchange. You're not forcing them to make these trades. And all the trades come from these different preferences, the different willingness to pay or valuation of these items. And so after they trade, what I like to ask is, raise your hand if you're better off from the trade. And the people who made the trade should raise their hands. If they don't raise their hands, it's like, okay, well, why'd you make the trade? And raise your hand if you're worse off. Then I asked, raise your hand if you're worse off. And nobody should raise their hand, because, you shouldn't make a trade that has made you worse off. And so what you're left with is, you have the same amount of stuff, but just through those economic ideas of mutually beneficial exchange or mutually beneficial trade and voluntary exchange, we've now made everybody better off. You should basically see like half the hands have gone up in the class. And there's different variations of this. Like if you want to illustrate like the size of the market, you can have them trade like with their table, just within their table at first, and then open it up to the rest of the class. This is the official 538, by the way, candy rankings. I guess they polled a bunch of people. So I guess Reese's is, in the top spot. Twix, Kit Kat, surprisingly high, but just if you're interested. Okay. And then if you go into the like write-up for this game, this is the worksheet that we have. And you could kind of come up with your own worksheet, getting the students to think about basically willingness to pay and value. How much do you value the paperclip? How much do you value the thing you traded for? Seeing the surplus that they get from trade. The reason I do a paperclip, by the way, there's a famous, like you maybe are familiar with it. There's this famous story of this guy right here who traded from a paperclip all the way up to a house. So basically he made a series of trades with people, and he ended up with this house in Saskatchewan. And there's in our trade unit plan and the MRU trade unit plan, there's also a woman on TikTok doing the same thing with a bobby pin, where she's like trading the bobby pin for better and better stuff, and she's documenting it all on TikTok. So that's why I do the paperclip, so I can sort of bring out this story, and then I can tell the students, like, you can keep trading after this class. Whatever item you've traded for, you can keep trading, and see how far you can go. And like through the semester, some students, the students who are really entrepreneurial will do this, and you can check in with them to see, all right, what have you traded up to? I just heard from somebody in Texas, in College Station, Texas, a teacher of ours, our teacher that has used our trade unit plan. One of their students kept trading from the paperclip, and they're currently at an Xbox. So that's that's pretty cool. All right, questions? Yeah, and so the concept we're teaching this is mutually beneficial exchange, and then the gains from trade. Okay, all right. Next game is a supply and demand game. This one is also quite famous. You may have seen it in a couple places. And so there's a few variations of this one as well. But this is a nice game to teach just market equilibrium, how the market arrives at an equilibrium. And so what you can do is basically you hand out cards to the class. Each student gets a card. Now, some teachers play it with the whole deck. I like to take out the Jack through Ace, just to make it simple, that the number that they have is like their number. And so if you're black, you're a consumer. If you're red, you are a producer. And so if you're consumer, the number here represents your willingness to pay. That's how much you would be willing to pay for the item. And then if you're producer, the number represents your cost. And so sometimes this is called the handshake game, where you have the students, basically the producers, the consumers are buying handshakes, the producers are selling handshakes. You could do it, if handshakes are kind of out of fashion post-pandemic, you could do like high fives, or I don't know, like elbow bumps or something. I usually actually don't even do an item. I just say, see if you can agree on a price. All right. If you're a consumer and you have a black card, you're trying to get a price lower than your card. This is your willingness to pay. So you're trying to get a price lower. If you're a producer and you got a red card, you're trying to get a price higher than your cost. And basically your surplus is that difference. And so they walk around, the consumers and the producers, they walk around and they're basically they're bargaining with each other trying to agree on a price. You have the, consumer saying, okay, I'd be willing to pay, this consumer, I'd be willing to pay $5, or, does anybody want to sell to me for $4? Maybe a producer will hear that. Okay, I'll sell to you for $4. If they agree on a trade, what I do is they come up to me and they say, look, we agreed on a trade. They hand over their cards and I write down the price that they agreed on. And so not every student is going to be able to find a trade. If you're a consumer and you get a very low willingness to pay, if you get like a 2 or 3, you're not going to find a trade. If you're a producer with a high cost, you're not going to find a trade. But what happens is you play a couple rounds of this, is that ultimately an equilibrium price emerges. Is that people realize, okay, this is the going price. And it arrives at what the equilibrium price would be, which in this game is between 5 and 6. Okay, so for example, if these two students agreed on a price of 5, the consumer would get a $3 surplus. Their willing to pay is 8, and the producer would get a $3 surplus as well. Their cost is 2. They sold it for 5. And so again, you could do variations of this game. I have them keep track of their surplus each round, and the winner, whoever has the most surplus at the end, gets a prize. Okay, and so this is, sort of the basic equilibrium game. And it's nice to use, or at least the way I use it, is I teach supply and demand, I teach equilibrium, and then I say, okay, we're going to play this game. And it's not really apparent to them, how the game relates until we play a few rounds, and then the equilibrium price, emerges. So here's an example of what the sheet looks like, or the worksheet. Are you a buyer or seller? What's the willingness to pay? Your cost, if you sell it, how much you sell for, and your surplus. So it's a nice game that sort of sticks in their mind, if it works, and it usually works, is that nobody, it's the invisible hand. Nobody forced this price on the market. The price just emerged between buyer and seller interaction. Yeah, and so there's a couple, there's a break even app. There's a couple other ones online as well that have versions of this. On the MRU website, we actually have a list of all the different online platforms that have different games. So there's a couple different places that you could play this virtually as well. I like to play it where it's not virtual, because it's just nice to have the students kind of like walking around and talking to each other, rather than typing on the phone. But it works just as well if you do it on the phone. And I know Mob Lab also has, Mob Lab you have to pay for, but it has you could do this game with taxes, price floors, price ceilings as well. But I like to do it just with the cards in the classroom, because like I said, it's fun to see the students walk around, they talk, they get a deal, I don't know, it's just gets a little movement. But yeah, you could do it online. So for those of you that teach online, there are apps. All right. So yeah, this game teaches equilibrium. When you debrief the students, okay, nobody forced us. We arrived at this equilibrium price, and consumer and producer surplus. They get a tangible representation of the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. All right. That's our third game. Questions? Go ahead and put the questions in the chat. Or suggestions, like if you play this game, if you have any suggestions. I know sometimes teachers, if a student gets a bad card, if you're a consumer and you get, like a low willingness to pay, or if you're a producer and you get a high cost, I know some teachers, they'll put the extra cards in the front of the classroom. And so students can come up and do 10 jumping jacks to trade in their card to get a better card for that round. There's different variations that you can play to make it fun. Okay. All right. Next game is the classic inflation auction. All right. And so with this game, you are teaching the relationship between money supply and prices. So you need something to use as money. So you can use fake money like Monopoly money if you have it. If you got a bunch of paper clips left over from your paperclip game, you could use those. I just use like jelly beans. And what you want to do is you want to take your money supply, whatever you're using as money, and divide it into thirds. And you're going to use 1/3 in round 1, and then 2/3, the rest, in round 2. And what you're going to do is you're just going to walk around the classroom with your money supply, that 1/3 in that first round, say, and just dole it out to students. You want to make sure the students don't have like the exact same amount. So you want to make it so they each have like a little difference. So you just sort of like, I just take like a handful, take a handful, and pass it around. So in the first round, 1/3, the second round, 2/3. Okay. Then you do an auction. What I've done here is these are basically stickers. So at MRU, we have lots of fun econ stickers. I'm trying to look around if I have any. I don't think I have this. I'm in my wife's office right now, if you can't tell. If you can't tell by there's a bunch of like paintings of her on the wall. But you can't. But anyway, I don't have any stickers right now. But we make like fun econ stickers at MRU. So we have this equilibrium sticker, invisible hand, and this is the Keynes quote. And so if you ever see us at a conference, or if you write to us and you're really nice, maybe we'll send you some of these stickers. Okay. Whatever you want to auction off. So I use stickers, but whatever you want to auction off, the key is you're going to need, the items need to be exactly the same in each round. So you're going to do 2 rounds, 3 items, make sure the items are exactly the same. And then you just auction them off like an auction. You do your best auctioneer impression. All right, who wants to bid on the first one? You bid, sell them, write down the price for each of them. And then you do it again. In the second round. Remember, this time there is twice as much money floating away. Can we please get some more stickers and tattoos? Amy, send me an email, matt@mru.org. This is my email. Yeah, well, I forgot we get the temporary tattoos too. Yeah. Okay. And so, what you're showing here is that link between the money supply and the prices. So in both rounds, you have the same 3 items. Exactly the same, but what you're going to see is the price will likely be double in that second round. So why is the price double? You ask your students, why, what was so different between the rounds where they sold for twice as much? And of course, the difference is same items. The difference is we had twice as much money floating around, but we weren't twice as rich. The items, it's not like we had twice as much stuff. It's just if you increase the amount of money without increasing the amount of stuff, then prices just rise. And so it's this fundamental link between the money supply and prices. It nicely illustrates. I usually do this before I teach inflation. So I don't do this after I teach inflation. We do this at the beginning of inflation. So sometimes the game works better to reinforce the ideas. Like I think the equilibrium game works better there. And sometimes the game works better to introduce the ideas. So I use that trading game to introduce trade. I use the equilibrium game, that card game, at the end of supply and demand. And then I use this to introduce inflation. Okay. Questions? It seems like, Angel, you've played this game before? Seems like. I don't know if I'm just looking at the chat. But yeah, generally, like I said, these are all games that sort of, tried and true. Okay, questions? All right. All right, let's get to our last game, market structures. All right. So actually, let me just stop my sharing first. Okay. All right. And so in this game, let's see if we can. I've never played it online. So let's see if we can try to play it online. Okay. And all right. So I will need a volunteer. So do I have a volunteer? Do I have a volunteer? You can either, I guess, raise your hand or just say you volunteer. Okay. Oh, guys, so we have Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer. Okay, so Jennifer, let me just write this down. Jennifer. Okay, you'll be basically in one corner, and then I need 3 volunteers. I need 3 volunteers. Anybody? Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. We got Virginia. See Virginia. Okay. See anybody else? Anybody else? Amber. Okay. Amber and one more. Okay. Amber, Virginia. Anybody else? Okay. Peter. Great. All right. That works. All right. Now I'm going to make some. Oh, Colin, sorry, you're a little too late. Let's see if I could do breakout rooms. Let's see, it has that functionality. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can do breakout rooms. Assign manually. Okay. Let me see if I could do this. Okay. Room 1 will be Jennifer. Room 2 will be Virginia, Amber, and Peter. That's my other volunteer. Okay. And room. And then everybody else will be in this last room. All right. Okay. So you're going to go to your breakout room and we're just going to try this. Let's just see how well this works. I'm going to come to each breakout room and I am going to talk to you and then we'll come back. Okay. So if you're hanging out, actually, I'll go to the big room first. So that'll work. Okay. All right. So go ahead and go to your breakout rooms. Okay. All right. So you're all in this big room. So here's what's going to happen. When we come back, I am going to buy something from one of you. What you need to do is write down your willingness to sell, basically the price you're willing to sell. It could be anything between a cent and $10. And so whichever one of you has the lowest, that's the person I'm going to buy it from. So, if the lowest number is a cent, I will send you a cent discard or a gift card. If the lowest one's $5, I will send you a $5 gift card. So it has to be between a cent. Actually, let's make it $1. I mean, we're not going to do a cent. $1 and $10. Okay. So you can talk amongst yourself what you want to do, but whoever has the lowest, whoever sends me the lowest bid is the person that I will buy it from. Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right, cool. Now I'm going to go to another room and we'll be back in a second. So you can talk amongst yourselves if you want. If you can try to collude if you'd like. Jennifer.
Hi.
Thanks for volunteering. Okay. So I am going to buy something from you.
Mm-hmm.
Most I'd be willing to pay is $10. Okay. So what you're going to do, and I'll send you basically a $10 gift card. If you write down $10, if you write down 9, I'll send you 9. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry. It's paid for. So you can write down the most basically. All right.
Okay.
You're not competing with anybody basically.
Mm-hmm.
So So all you need to do is write down, you can write down any number between 1 and 10, and basically I will buy the item from you. Okay.
You want me to do it right now or when you?
When we get back,
Yeah,
you can send
okay.
me the chat. All right, cool.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right. So we'll see where you're back. You should be back. You should be back. And how? All right. Everybody should be back. Okay. So make sure you have your chat setting to just to me. I think I'm MRU support for this one. So make sure your chat is set just to me. And so basically the way it was divided is we had Jennifer in one room. We had 3 of you in another room. I didn't come talk to you, the 3. And then we had everybody else in the other room. So I don't know how well, we'll see how well this works, but that's the general idea, is you want to break the class up. In the actual game, it's 4 groups, but for this, we did 3 groups. Should hopefully still work. So I broke you up into 3 groups. We had 1 person in one group, 3 person in another group, and then we had everybody else. I think it was about 14 in the other group. And when you do it in class, you want to give each student an item. Usually it's just like a piece of gum. And then you say, I'm going to buy something from each group. I'm only going to buy 1 from each group. And the most I'd be willing to pay is in the game, $1. Today, I said $10. So the most I'd be willing to pay for the item is $10. And I'm going to buy it from whoever gives me the lowest price. And then you have the students write what their lowest price would be. Okay. And then you buy it from the person with the lowest price. So I usually bring in like a bunch of change that day. And then you go from group to group and buy from the lowest price. All right. And so you have the 1 person in the one corner, then you have the 3 people in the other corner. I had it so y'all didn't talk to each other. That's why I never came and gave you the prompt, because I didn't want you to talk to each other and collude. And then you have everyone else, and I let them talk to each other. Okay. All right. And so let's play and let's see what the prices are. All right. So Jennifer, I said, I'll buy something from you. The most I'm willing to pay is $10. So I will actually send you a $10 gift card. So if you could just go ahead, you can actually put this in the chat. What is the price you are willing to sell? What's your price? Or you can say.
I'm doing this for everyone, right? To show everyone?
Yeah.
I'm telling everyone, $10.
All right, $10. Okay. Then we have our next group. Let's go to our next group, which was it Virginia, Amber, and Peter. And so this, I want you to set your chat setting just to me, just so I see it, and write down how much you're willing to sell for. Okay, I got one bid. Oh, your costs are nothing. Basically, this is all surplus for you. Your goal is basically, I'm going to buy it from the lowest, from whoever gives me the lowest price amongst you 3. Okay, I got 2 bids. Just waiting on a bid from Virginia. All right. Okay. So the bids I got from Amber, $9.95. She'd be willing to sell. Virginia says $8.50. Peter with $8.49. Just missed out. All right. Peter buying from Peter. Okay. And I have Jennifer. What's your last name? Just so I know. Jennifer. Okay. All right. All right. Last group, which was everyone else, but we'll see how this works. So same thing for everyone else. Just go ahead and send me your bids. Just to me. Don't send it to everybody. Otherwise, you will be easily undercut. So go ahead and send me the bids. Okay, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 bids so far. Don't know. Anybody else? Anybody else? 6, 7 bids. There's a few more there. 7. Oh, sorry. I almost said what the bid was. What that bid was. 8 people. Okay, 9 people. Okay, these are very interesting bids. Okay. Give you chance to get any more in. Okay. All right. So it looks like the lowest bid I have from this group is Matt Williams, and his bid is $465. Okay. All right. So Matt, $465 coming your way. Peter, $849, and Jennifer, $10. All right. Any ideas of what this game is trying to teach? Now, it didn't work perfect this time, just because it worked pretty well, but there wasn't quite enough people in that big group, I think, to have it work perfectly. But still, it still generally worked out. Any idea of what this game is teaching? Anybody? Any guesses?
When you're the only player in the game, you set the price at the highest profit level possible.
Exactly. So this is a market structure game. So, we have the monopolist, Jennifer. We have an oligopoly where we have the 3 firms, or the 3 people. And then you have what's supposed to be perfect competition with the big enough group. And even if they can talk, even if they can try to collude. Now, this group did a pretty good job of colluding in that I got a lot of $10 bids. Like, if you see my chat, it was a lot of $10 bids. So there was, I don't know what you guys talked about. If you all said, let's just do 10, and he'll have to pick whatever. So you were trying to use, it's the best job of collusion that I think I've ever seen in terms of this game, because usually it sells for like a cent or 5 cents.
Okay.
And so I think because the number was smaller, because usually there's like 20 people in that group. The way usually the game works out is, as you add firms, though, the price goes down, and then with perfect competition, usually it ends up like a cent or really, really low, and of course the high price with the monopoly. And so it's just, like I said, it's just a nice way to teach, or to show them market structure in action. Okay, and the way you do it in class is, like you said, whoever volunteers first, they're the one who gets the highest money. You next volunteer of 3, and then in the game write-up, there's another group of 3 that are allowed to talk. So basically, they're an example of an oligopoly that's like allowed to collude, and there you'll see a higher price. And you send them to each corner of the room. So you got your monopoly in one corner of the room. You're colluding oligopoly in one part of the room, another corner, the oligopoly that's not allowed to talk, and then perfect competition in one corner. Play the game, and it works. All right. So yeah, like I said, you'll generally get that price structure where, you know, monopoly highest and down. I never got it where it didn't, you know, where the price structure didn't go like that. And y'all, with perfect competition, I was worried because you had small enough numbers to collude, but Matt Williams, good econ teacher, you know, followed his incentives or followed his profit maximizing and got it. Okay. All right, so let's see. Jennifer Bowker, I'll send you $10. Peter McCall, $8.49. Matt Williams, $4.65. And Ivan, I got to get that dollar to you. Okay. Any questions? Let me get back on the slides. There's always one. Tomorrow I'm playing a game in my 70-person lecture. Where, and I'm playing it with poll everywhere, where I'm going to give everyone $1 if they all collude. And if somebody deviates, they get $20. If 2 people deviate, but they both get 20. If 3 people deviate, they all get 20. But if more than 3 people deviate, I don't have to pay anything. So I've heard, I've never done it before. This is it for game theory. I've never done it before. I've heard, the rumor is on campus, no professor has ever had to pay out for this game. So I'm hoping, I'll let you know how it goes. All right. This describes the game. We don't have time for these, but these are just a few other interactives that we have. And if you have any questions, that is my email. And this is the link to the specific resources that we cover today, the write-up for all the games. Let me just put that in the chat so you have that. You can sign up to get access to all the resources. And then I will send you sometime this week these slides, maybe, you know, give me until next Monday, slides with the PD certificate. All right. Any final questions? Okay. Is the game theory simulation? Oh, the one I'm playing tomorrow. We haven't written that one up yet. We haven't written that one up because it's basically it's a version of Prisoner's Dilemma. So I don't know. Most high schools don't teach game theory, so it's really only applicable if you're teaching game theory. Yeah, but I mean, it's fun. I'll see how it goes. Oh yes, AP Micro does have a little bit of game theory. Yeah, you could try it, or I'll tell you, or I'll let you know. I'll probably do a write-up of it if seeing how if it works or not. Okay, cool. All right, well, I'll hang out if y'all have questions. If not, that's our time. If you'd like to attend a future event, visit our teacher trainings page linked in the description. Looking for more games? Check out our library of free interactive games on supply and demand, GDP, trade, and more. Or you could check out a playlist of our videos aligned to CEE economic standards.